wait any longer. Good morning, everybody. I'm Ed Parcaut with Brian Galke. He finally showed up. He was having computer issues.
Yes, I was.
Try to explain. Be very careful updating your stuff, especially when you're using beta stuff on Apple.
Right.
Because the rest of it use alpha.
Well, that's like I said, I couldn't figure out it was the OS. Then you told me that Chrome updated this morning. I just couldn't get my mic to work. So
I don't think I don't know if I updated the right Instagram today, but because it's not showing me over there yet.
That's what you get for talking trash.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do?
But yes,
I probably updated yours instead of mine.
Could have been.
Yeah.
No, the reason I was actually late to begin with is I was on with Jay Abraham, and man, the guy just, if you ever get a chance to talk to him,
talks.
And but he's so brilliant. Like, people were just listing their issue, and he didn't even have to think. He's just like, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. His brain is amazing.
Yeah, but he's probably said the same things multiple times. Most of us have the same issues over and over again. They're the same issues. Because you asked about, what do you want to talk about this week? And I'm like, as you said that, I got a text and an email from somebody else I always talk about. And they're like, shiny objects, blah, 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 stay focused. And basically, how do you stay focused in this world? Alex always talks about the red dress, the girl in the red dress, which is distracting you. It was his wife who actually sent that out.
Well, and I'm a sucker too, man. If I get, people are always offering free master classes, free workshops, and I watch them, of course, and I get all giddy, and then I'm like, I have to hide my credit card, so I get it.
Well, it's like today I put on my list things to cancel.
Yeah.
Because, I forget to cancel them. Next thing I know, bam, I got hit it with it again. I'm like, I thought I canceled that damn thing.
Yeah. Well, like, I'm not a financial advisor, but I do use Rocket. So do you use Rocket Money at all?
I just can't use that. Anything with that name in it.
Gotcha. Well, it basically, you link up all your credit cards and let you know, like, what are you paying for monthly, what's coming up soon, and it'll let you cancel through the app. So you can download it, link all your credit cards, your bank account. It looks and says what's coming. So I got rid of some of my Apple subscriptions I didn't realize I was paying for. Or it'll say, hey, by the way, price increase is coming with this one soon. Do you want to keep it or get rid of it? And so some of those, like, that I forgot I had. It was versions of different software. Like, I had captions, and I had all these other ones that were, $60-$70 a year, but then they'd come and hit. And I'm like, damn it, I meant to cancel it before that. So it's a nice software to download, and to your point, see everything you're spending money on and go, do I really use that? Yes or no?
Well, it's like I had signed up for a couple different ebook places. And Designer I like, and then there was another one. They're pretty good, but you only need one of them, and I keep forgetting to cancel the other one.
Well, that's what they're hoping.
$20. Right? It's not made, and that's what they like. Is that's that whole key about get it going at a small price point so people don't cancel it.
Yep. But Amanda Dobson did a presentation on that. It's like $19.99. If you keep anything under, people are too lazy to cancel over $20. So
under $20.
Yep. So that's why I remember on TV, late night infomercials before we had true internet like we know it today, is for $19.99. It was never $20, or it was $49.99, not $50. So everybody's psychologically to that. Well, it's less than X amount, so I can spend that money.
Because the even number sounds too high, but in 1997 or 1999, actually, they say everything to do with 97 now on whatever you're doing, like $997 or.
Yep, that's been the popular one for a while. That was something when we used to respond to government proposals. They would, like, if you put in weird numbers, people will question it. Like, why is it not rounded off to this? Why is it this? So it intrigues people. Like, why is this number weird? There's a speaker I know who, when most people put round numbers for their speaking fee, and she puts in like weird numbers. So people have to ask, well, why is it this? Because they're so used to seeing the same thing over and over again. What's a way to stand out?
Well, and some people do it because of their numbers. They like certain numbers better than other numbers and stuff like that. Whatever works for you.
Yeah. Some people put in, their kids' birthdays, what their kids' ages were. I know when we were buying houses, we would put in weird numbers in our offer so that the sellers would have to ask, well, why this weird number? Oh, well, I'm glad you asked. So it was a way for us to stand out in the offer process, because we weren't always the highest bidders. As a matter of fact, this isn't a real estate show, but we got creative in the buying process. So just like branding that we talk about here all the time, when they were getting multiple offers, we had to put things in to stand out. And so what we did, picture of us, what we liked about the house, why we toured the house, and even things we did like
that's what you can't do anymore.
Oh, you can't do that stuff anymore?
that could be considered discrimination if they don't pick you.
Are you serious?
Yes.
That's crazy.
And the offer letters, you're not
Mhm.
supposed to do anymore because, again, that could be considered discrimination because they found out you were a whatever, and then they can use that against them.
That's like I just saw some all the contestants for the Beast Games show, I guess, for Mr. Beast are suing because they didn't win. That's just the society we live in. It makes no sense, but
Well, they're probably not all older people either. They're
true.
probably a certain generation that's watching all that stuff
Yep.
that are used to being told that they're good at everything and they get a trophy no matter what.
Yeah. Participation trophies. Wow. Marcos in here is really angry.
Who?
Oh, there's a guy that's in the Instagram live who just put F you. I'm like, oh, look, he's sad. He's angry.
No, he's family America under. So I can't come up with something so fast. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yep.
You can't
Anyway.
please everybody. Just don't boo our national anthem.
Yes. Well, all right. So this week, since we know who our Joker is going to be on Thursday,
Yeah.
one of the things that I mentioned earlier, I'm a sucker for is a current strategy that a lot of people are doing is they're doing these master classes which is really a modern day webinar, but it's broken into multiple days. And I join them all the time. There was 2 going on this week at the same time. And I would
Tuesday.
What's that?
It's only Tuesday.
Oh, sorry. Last week. So I forget what
I was
day
like,
we're on.
wow. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday was a holiday and you got 2 in already this morning.
Oh no, it was last week. So Jen Gottlieb did one, and so did somebody else. And I had one on my iPad, one on my TV, and I just listened to them in the background to hear what's there and how do they pitch and how they do things. But the amount of people who sign up when it's a webinar is a huge, huge number. So people go in, they spend time with you, and there's different strategies with that. Some people they just do a webinar a month. Some people just record one, run it over and over again. But it is a good strategy for getting people to spend a lot of time with you and fight the scroll.
Well, I think it's a way to be in front of a bunch of eyeballs that we need to
Mhm.
do these days instead of one-on-ones that we try to do,
Right.
because it's harder for us to get to scale on one-to-one.
Yes.
Very hard to scale one-to-one, and depending on what you're trying to do. And that's what I mean with the new thing I'm doing with the disability company. That's huge for us.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be doing that kind of thing, webinars more, even though I've been trying to. Anyway, it's just one of those things. We constantly keep trying to evolve and do
Mhm.
more things, and then you get sidetracked with something else. And go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I was going to agree.
I'm just gonna say and I'm running into so many things I'm doing. I was telling somebody I ran into somebody on Saturday because I took my wife's car, got it washed and cleaned and everything, and filled it up with gas because she was leaving for a trip.
Mhm.
And then I came back with my truck, did the same thing, which I don't normally do that, but I had spent $2,500 on brakes and a bunch of other stuff, so I thought I should look nice.
Yeah.
So I was talking to this guy, I was telling him, and I met him. I've known him for a while. He's a client of mine, past client, veteran. And he came to our Operation Firewalk, and I told him, "Oh, we're doing it again." He's coming, and everything I was doing. He's like, "Dude, how do you do it? You got so much going on." It's like, I know. So when yesterday came around, I didn't do anything. I mean, I
Mhm.
sat in my chair all day till about 3. I was like, unbelievable that I did that. After Saturday and then Sunday, I went for a bike ride after a lift, and I
Mhm.
hadn't been on a road bike in years. And I
Yeah.
went 22 miles and came back, and I was like, "Whoo! I need to put these squisher things on my legs and take a nap." And the next day, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I'm done talking.
yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to get at is stop trying to go it alone. Get the
Mhm.
help you need. And I'm not talking, well, whatever the help is, get that need.
Well,
But
it's yeah.
I did do one thing is I reworked out my whole schedule, how I'm going to do things, because I don't think I told you, but last
Mm.
week I was told I need a total knee replacement.
Oh.
And now I know why my knee's been killing me for so long, and nobody said anything when bone on bone just doesn't work.
Oh. Yeah, that sounds painful.
It is painful. And I've been walking on it and doing everything else on it. I'm like, this is getting bad. So finally went through the whole thing. They're like, oh, I know why you have a problem. I
Mhm.
know why it's painful. You can do this, this, and this, and this. Done all that. Okay, well then it's total knee replacement.
Well, good news is it recovers faster than it did a decade ago. I had somebody who did it in December, and they were up and moving in a few days.
You're not supposed to. You're not. It's not built for running on.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's
but that's what I want. The whole purpose of it, to be able to do things.
Well,
And the
that's why I
guys,
use the rower and I use the air bike because it's low impact and you still can get stuff done. But
yeah, okay.
yeah, I'm just saying. overtime
That's
for
why I
other
play
people listening.
dodgeball instead of actually, boxing or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but great. That works for you. That doesn't work for me. Thank you.
Right.
But riding. So I went back to riding again. So.
Oh man, there's somebody in the question or in the comments here.
What's the question?
Their question was, I'm 15 years old. What's the best skill for me to learn? I'm just going to say social skills.
16.
Yeah.
Get off your phone. Talk to people. Have conversations. Ask people how they got to where they are. Start a podcast and call up and get everybody on there and ask them what they needed to know at 18 and they're on. Go do something like that.
Well, we've talked about this before. You already said it. Get off your phone, get in the room, pay attention to people. People who work on their people skills are the ones that will keep their jobs. Keep learning AI, keep using other things, but you've got to learn how to talk to people. And especially when you're young, that's a big problem people are having right now is they graduate, they have no social skills, and they're applying for jobs. And there's a lot of expectations that are out of whack because they look at like what their parents make and everything else. And in that study, the intelligent.com, that was one of their things was unreasonable salary expectations. And then the problem that they have is they can't hold eye contact with people. Well, that's great. If you can't hold eye contact with people, get a job on the help desk. Look, I did that, so I'm not talking trash about it. I'm just saying that is a job where you don't need to be able to look people in the face. But most jobs require eye contact to let people know you're paying attention, to let people know you understand things. So if there is a skill at 15 that you can work on, any type of presentation skills, social skills, networking, the ability to talk to people will set you apart in a day and age where everybody lives on their phone.
Right. And don't do the help desk thing. No offense, Brian.
Yeah.
Go make yourself uncomfortable. Get in front of people. Just like, go, do something. You can't do paper routes anymore because you can't throw iPads at people.
Another question came up. What type of things should I do to improve? What type of things should I improve on to grow the business?
Well, that's a big thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Kamar, you have to let us know what your business is. So then the other question is, what books should you read to get the information? Click on my link in my bio. I list every book that has helped me that I recommend to other people. So body language books, mind reading book.
The best one. How about this one? The first, Think and Grow Rich.
Right. That's on mine.
That's the first one you should read, just so you understand how they did certain things.
Right.
Any sales book from old guys. When I mean old guys, I mean like not Brian and I age, but like Zig Ziglar, who aren't here anymore, Brian Tracy, some of these older guys that a lot of people go, well, I don't like what they talk about. That's manipulation. That is not manipulation. What they talk about, they talk about how to help people get to where they want to go by helping them understand what they're trying to do.
And
how about this one? Steve Sims, Blue Fishing. And the reason I say that is that's unique situation where you learn everything about him and how he got to where he is, so that you understand just because you're doing some job today doesn't mean that's where you're going to end up.
Yes. That's a good book. I always forget to list that one. I need to actually go back and add that one to my website because that one is a very good. When the guy went from being a bricklayer and could have followed in the family ancestral job to where he is today, it's a great book on how to take those steps and leaps and discover things.
And how he did stuff that most people wouldn't do because they'd be afraid of going to jail.
Yep.
And I don't mean that like the wrong way. I'm just saying you push the envelope and just go for it. And I mean, the way he became, he got to then that stockbroker thing that happened, and then they were like, he's like, I'm just here for the food, basically.
It's
I'm gonna turn around for a second, keep talking because I want to look at my shelf for a second.
Yeah, no, you're good. One that I think is a good one is this one here. So I started to say it earlier, Mind Reader by David Lieberman. So it's how to understand what people are really saying when they talk to you. So when they put it in email, when they put it in text, what are they really thinking? What are they really saying?
I got one this is supposedly for our industry, Time Traps. It talks about strategies for salespeople. But Todd Duncan came up with a book and he talked about high trust sales.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to get at is that has to do with relationships. So if you're 15, the most important thing is learn how to build relationships because you need it multiple. You need it personally and you need it for your life and everything you do in life. So build relationships, figure out how to build relationships.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I
show
also
it.
think that's another good one, as you say more than you think. It's what does your body language say about you? So a lot of people pick up books to say, well, I want to understand everyone else's body language. But it's what are you what are you presenting when you walk into a room, right? How are you showing up? That's a big one as well.
How about something else? I remember when I first got in, and nobody talks about it now. It's like dress for success, right? And the
Yes.
problem is, look at me. I'm in a I don't have to anymore, but you should, especially when you're starting out. There's nothing wrong with looking good when you go places.
Mhm.
It's better to be the most dressed up person than in the least dressed up person wherever you go to.
And now it can
Right?
work on, let's play devil's advocate on that. I got roasted on one video for what guy wears jeans when he's on stage. I'm like, well, ask who the audience was. So I was speaking to a bunch of HVAC service repair type people. If I walked in a full suit, then they may would have dismissed who I was. So you want to try and match your audience, and then to your
Right.
point, dress it up a little bit more. Now I spoke to a bunch of attorneys, and they all showed up in suits. So what did I show up in? 3-piece suit.
Shorts.
Yeah, my jorts.
Your
Yes,
George. You were the dude that was a guitarist for ACDC.
that's right. The little black shorts looks like I'm a
Yeah.
kid going to school.
Well, no, I mean, and all I'm saying is because this is all stuff that people forgot about and they don't think they need to. Well,
Right.
it's I think AI is just going to make the easier jobs easier to us to be able to answer certain questions and do things a lot easier. There's going to be a huge falling out, kind of just like what happened to .com, all the other stuff that's so huge. There were so many companies who came out of it, and then where are they now? It's just one more thing to help you be better in life, to where you don't have to answer certain things. But they're also saying it's going to make us stupid.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things we're not going to learn. Well, the best thing to learn is how to talk to people.
That's just it. It's a
And
lost
also
art
how
that
to
everyone needs
hear
to know how
them,
to do. Right.
to hear people, because it's not only just talking to them, but it's also being quiet and listening, which I don't do.
That's
So,
I can't remember who I was listening to the other day. They were talking about when they put in a pause. So everybody's heard of the pregnant pause, or if you haven't, it's when you say something and for dramatic effect, you leave a pause. But there was somebody's talking about communication. They said you need to, when somebody's done speaking, count to 3, because 1, you don't know, are they really done speaking? And 2, you want it to seem like I am focused on listening to you speak versus me rushing to hurry up and answer with what I want to say. So I do think that's a good piece of advice, is give yourself a few seconds of time, because not everybody does that, and that can create an issue.
unless you're on here with Brian, you
Yeah,
can't do 3 seconds.
that's
Because
right.
talking.
What? Who? I can't. No.
No, but that's because on my podcast, I have so many people after the end going, wow, that was a really good podcast. It's amazing. They're like shocked because people don't listen to them, or
Yeah.
they don't challenge what they say. And it's not that I'm challenging. I just want to take the other side so we all have a great conversation. And that's how it should be. You
Exactly.
shouldn't be afraid to ask questions, what people want. Is there any other questions there? Or is that just it today?
No, I'm trying to. For some reason, it popped off the screen, so I was looking real fast.
And what can you do for your business? Do what Doge is doing. Go through it and see where you can cut and where you can put that money in other places. How about
Right.
that first? Where are we wasting money? What can we get in place to replace some things that we're doing?
Mhm.
I mean, if it wasn't for my downturn, I would have never made changes that I made today.
Yeah. Well, that's what we've talked about also with AI coming in. People are going to look to possibly cut out you and your service. So what are you doing to stand out? And that goes full circle back to the books that we're recommending are, how do you get in front of people? How do you talk to people? Because I get it. Most people are litigious and everything. And everybody wants to do a cover your ass or CYA email or text. But the problem is now you're competing with a bot, because if you're just going to send everything over text and email, then people don't need you. Bots can answer it. Now, are they 100% correct? No, but neither are people. And the bots and AI are getting so much better. So, they're taking now, like a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, like Joe was on the cusp of having bots, right? But you could still read through it and it's like, that's obviously a bot. Now, with the ability through all these different AIs to upload like your book, listen to your recordings, everything else, they can literally answer and speak just as if they were you. And so so if people can get that, great, charge them a lesser fee, but people will still pay more to get access to you.
Everything's hyper local now.
Yes.
Everything that you listen about is when they market it, they market to where you live and everything. It's almost a bad thing to be a national brand. Have you heard that recently? It's like,
No.
yeah. So everybody wants everybody to be local. They don't
Yeah.
want to know that you're a huge brand, or if you are just a small portion of that huge brand, that's what I've been hearing. And because I listen to all the people who do high level and do all the different things, and they're set up companies
Mhm.
for, whatever the different company they're setting up. And so when you search for Google and the things that they do, the way they're keying it in is to be hyper local, so that it's coming up for just that area.
Yeah.
So that's the big push, where before everybody's like, I want to be a national brand and everybody wants me. Well, if you're Pepsi or something else like that, maybe,
Yeah.
but certain companies. And so that's why they're telling all real estate people, all mortgage people, to focus in the local area more. Real estate used to be a lot more where people, this is my little neighborhood. Well,
Mhm.
then everybody wanted to do more and more and more. And so they were bigger than that. Well, they're actually pushing to stay local, really
Yeah.
hyper local in that area.
To turn it
Or at
around.
least,
Yeah.
or at least make it look that way. And I don't mean that comes off wrong.
No, you're just saying show them that you're in their area as well. And you're right. Like if you go to buy something, well, I can buy a lot of stuff off Amazon, but if I'm getting something custom tailored, I want it local. So,
Right.
for example, like Jay Hilburn does dress shirts. I can order it online, but I would rather go to the store, have them measure me versus me guessing and everything else. So, depending on what you're buying, if you want something customized, you want to believe that you have access to the people in a local type setting. And you and I talked about this on a previous one. The first person who did my website, they were in Pakistan, and for me to get with them, what meant that they wanted to do midnight calls, and I'm like, I don't want that. So that's already created that barrier between me and them with the time frame difference. Then you have language quirks where slang and everything else. But it was just the fact of they didn't adjust to my time. It never would have bothered me if they would have said, "Hey, you're the client. We'll meet you on your time." And that's one of the things, like you and I talk about narcissistic time zone, right? People think in terms of, well, my time, it's here. So we joke at the end of the show, like, hey, it's noon central and whatever Ed's time is or whatever. People are that way. And so they want to know, do they have easy access to you? Are you local? Do you understand my local problems? Or are you giving me a generic solution?
And that's people after what we went through, and then currently what we're going through.
Yeah.
And this is going to sound political, but all the money we find that they're wasted in our government and our tax, that's our money, by the way. That's our taxes that we send them and everything else.
Mhm.
That's going to make everybody wanting to know more about what's happening with their stuff, their information, everything going on. They want to be able to come and find you. That's what I see is going to change going forward. Some people can say I'm wrong. I
Mhm.
just think that we're going to see a push more and more to that.
Agreed.
Where if I'm a huge company and normally they go online to find out something, I'm going to see if I can find somebody local who's going to give me the same thing.
Exactly. I'm going to answer another question. So, a kid that came back said, I have a problem whenever I talk to someone, I overshare, is basically what he said. So, the answer to that is that means you're trying to share so much about yourself so you hope they like you. But the real trick for that is the opposite. And that is you need to be asking more questions to understand them. And there's a tricky part in this. And that is when you ask somebody something and you find that you have in common, don't hurry up and cut them off to say, oh, yeah, yeah, I'm just like that too. But look for things that you have in common. So there's conversation hijackers who, if you say, oh, I've been to Italy, and they'll, oh, yeah, I loved Italy. And they go on and on about everything they did without the person who was asked the question getting even say what they like about Italy or not. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. So the best thing you can do is just shut up. Please don't take that wrong, but just ask them a question and listen to what they say. And then when they say it, go ask them again a little bit more about what they talked about, that you've been listening to them. If
Right.
you repeat what they're asking and say, so you can have this, it's this thing when we used to go to counseling, how, medical marriage counseling, like, okay, this is when you have a conversation, or if you're employees, you're supposed to say back, this is what I heard you say.
Mhm.
Right, like, in that, I always hated that, but, basically, if you can do the same thing without all that preference by just
Mhm.
going, so what you said was blah, blah, blah. How do
Yeah.
you want us to move, and do it that way, connect with that other person. They're gonna ask you questions because you're connecting with them, because you're doing
Mhm.
something that nobody else is doing,
Yep.
asking them questions. What is the best word somebody can hear?
It's their own name. Yeah.
Correct. And what is the one thing most people never do? It's like when I look at people's names in stores and I say their name to help me, and they're like, "How the fuck you know my name?" Oh, it's right there on your shirt because it's pretty
Exactly.
easy.
So that's a mutual respect thing. One of the things that used to drive my ex nuts was whoever our server was like, "Hey, what's your name?" I did that because I was a server, and it always bothered me that nobody would even ask my name. It's like, look, I get in the title server, I'm here to serve you, but I'm still a person. So I go out of my way to always ask, what's my bartender's name? What's my waiter's name? What's my waitress's name? Whatever, because they're still a person. So
I was counting.
Oh, I'm looking to see if there's more questions. So let's see.
This is the first time we've answered questions like this instead of you just typing them out.
Yeah, this is kind of fun. I should have been doing this before, like you said. Okay, then the next question was, what do you do when you know that you can do better, but time limits you? I don't understand that question. So
You
what
know,
to
you can do
do?
better, but time
Yeah,
limits you. Well, why is time limiting you?
yeah, and what are you trying to accomplish? That'd be the other question. Is what's the goal of what you're trying to do, and then we can help with that one.
Well,
But
how about this? Maybe you find a way to do it faster, but better. Use AI. You know,
mhm,
have it because all right. So because I rechanged everything that I'm doing, and I told you before, I had ChatGPT help me write a whole workout for the weights that and use all of my favorite people that I like
yeah,
what I'm supposed to do. Well, then I said, okay, this time I want to do 5 days a week, hit the body part twice
mhm,
each week, right? And then so rewrote everything out. I go, okay, now I have to add in I'm going to be doing a long ride on the weekend at this. I need to do a couple days a week of Peloton riding. Can you include that in? And it's like, okay, we're going to do hill workout on this day on the Peloton. We're going to do intervals on this day on the Peloton. So it recreated a whole thing for me. So the question is, how can you use AI to help me? That took me what, 5 minutes,
right,
which normally would have taken me myself a couple hours to do it. So
right,
what can you use to make it easier? And ChatGPT is only $20.
yep,
If you want a real version that's yours, it's $20.
yeah. If you want to go the crazy one, $200 a month. But yes,
But that is you can make videos now of stuff. So
yeah. Let's see what the other
I hope
question.
that answered his question or her question.
Yeah, what to do when you know what you can do better, but time limits you? Yeah, look for ways to streamline. So there's the perfectionist trap. And this is way off topic of what we're going to talk about today, but since there's good questions in here, the perfectionist trap is where you spend too much time on shit you shouldn't be doing.
And
And so
research.
that's, I won't put that out until it's perfect. No, the reality is, and I've been guilty of that, is you put it out there and then you can change it over time. And it's funny because I was talking to my mentor, and he said one of the big changes when he first wrote his book was he couldn't easily, if he found something new, he couldn't easily go and change the book. Well, that's not really the case anymore because now Kindle, Audible books, things can be changed so much faster because you don't have to buy things in bulk like you did before. So get things done and then perfect it as you go is a
Yeah.
really, really simple way to improve in most things in life.
Get going, then get good, as
Yep.
somebody else used to say.
Yes.
And then just here, prime example, my book,
Hmm.
I think I'm on version 5 because there was I found one mistake in the first one and we've had that fixed. The next that's a new version, right? And then the second,
Yeah.
and then somebody found a bunch of stuff that was done not wrong. It's just someone read it wrong. Like it was supposed to
Yeah.
say quality instead of quantity, and it was
Hmm.
quantity instead of quality, that kind of stuff. So there
Right.
was a couple of mistakes in there, and that's what they tell you when you're writing your book. Go through it. We'll go through it and we'll find them. But people are going to find more, and that's okay. We'll go and fix them afterwards. Just get the book out.
Yes.
I mean, Alex Hormozy talks about how long it takes him to write his book, but he also has a degree in writing.
Yeah. His books are really good too, but
I
yes.
mean, they're really good, but I'm sorry, but they're really good. But I wouldn't have thought he took 2 years to edit them,
Yeah. Well, I think
right?
he
I
just
mean,
looks to be a perfectionist on stuff, but yeah.
and again, that what you just said. Sometimes we get in our own way, and we need to stop that. Get the
Yep.
stuff out there. If you need more time to work on something, like we just said, how do you find ways to get it done? I found a way to where I could do stuff with ChatGPT that most people don't even think about. I'm creating that new company, and that you can do a project and I come up with all this stuff. I have a meeting with my guy on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We go through
Mhm.
what we're doing, and then he'll and I'll drop it in the chat in the text to him or wherever we're doing. He's like, dude, I was just going to ask you that.
Hold on, I got to plug in my phone. Sorry.
Anyway.
Another question came up. What are your top tips for navigating difficult discussions with colleagues, friends, and family? The first, learning active listening. So you have to listen for first, what's the pain behind it? If you read what's that?
What is the difficult conversation?
Well, it just says difficult conversations.
I know, but what is that? Yeah. Is that a personal thing? Is that a work thing? Is that you need to take a shower thing? I mean, you need to understand those things first. Then you can do what you're just going to do. Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you, but I think you need to identify what that is first before we can.
So Samantha, if you're watching, give us an example. We can talk about it. But if you start with any hostage negotiation book, so Never Split the Difference, Convince Me, other ones, you name it, they always start with, you have to put yourself in the other person's shoes. When we go and we're delivering bad news or whatever, a lot of times we want to unburden ourselves to make ourselves feel better, but how's it going to impact the other person? And that's something that you have to take into account is, how are they going to hear it? What's the best way you can deliver the bad news? And then does the conversation even need to be had? So there's a lot of times when we want to address something so we feel better and it just makes things worse. Right. But so you have to look at what's the real outcome of having that difficult discussion.
Yeah. I mean, is it going to benefit you at all?
Right.
If it's not going to benefit you at all, move on. It's like when I used to go to actual gyms, because I built up my own in my garage. Mm-hmm. You look at these people doing these crazy exercises that is not what that is meant for that machine or what they're doing. The question is, do you go over there and help them, or are they going to attack you because you help them? So you have to be okay. Understand that situation, who that person is, because it might not help you at all. It might just make it worse in a situation. So sometimes it's better just to move on and understand that there's sometimes you need. It's like with kids. Do you fix do all these fights, or do you fix one or two things that your kids are doing? You can't fix everything.
Right.
Was there another question or answer?
No, I'm telling her if she doesn't want to share her information, she can send me a DM.
Oh,
okay. Because some people don't want to share what the bad news may be. So I just said, hey, send me
a because now her employee or whoever's that watching this will say, well, that was about me. But how about this? You learn how to understand the person by taking Brian's course. Understand, hey, who this person is, how to talk to them. How about the first thing? The easiest way is how to understand who that person is. If you don't have a DISC test to know which each quadrant they're in or who they are, that kind of stuff, you're not going to understand how to talk to them. However, if you understand their eyebrows, a few things on their faces, you'll understand how to actually communicate with them so that they'll understand what you're saying. Maybe you can start there by understanding that person.
Absolutely. And that
wasn't a sales thing on your stuff, Brian, but it's very helpful to understand who you're talking to.
100%. This weekend, somebody reached out to me like, hey, I've got this thing going on. What books do you recommend? And I gave them statement analysis book, right? The one I just showed a minute ago, Mind Reader. I gave them 2 body language books and then said, and my course. And that's because those are the things that help me to understand people better. You have to hear, what are people saying? What are you seeing them do with their body language? Because people can go, I really believe in what I'm doing. Well, those two things are incongruent. So when you can pick up body language, micro expressions, congruency, but what really helps you prepare is no different than like when I was in sales early on. Before you met with a prospect, you go and look them up on, what are their charities, do a Google search of them, try and understand who the person is. Well, learning what their face tells you a lot about people as well.
Well, it's what you see.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that first.
Mm-hmm.
And I had you do it when I first met you, 3 years ago or whenever it was.
Had you
talk to my staff. I had them on, and we had a few of them on, and one of the ladies like, well, it's like 50% better. Well, it's still 50% better than before.
Exactly.
I mean, because we have stoic people still can understand who they are by their other features, not the fact that they don't express themselves.
Yeah. And that's, people get it so out of whack with any skill. Well, it's not 100%. Most things in life aren't.
No.
But does it help you improve? And that's one of the things that now it seems to be creeping up more and more in 2025 is, are you 1% better than you were yesterday? And so we've talked about this before. Pick up books of things that aren't in your industry. Go to seminars of things that aren't in your industry, because you can learn things from outside sources that can make you that much better. So like you talked about before, you lift weights, right? You walk, you bike. But you could also go to a Pilates class, or you could go to a yoga class or something else and learn something else that may help you with something else. So there was a guy.
hot yoga
Yeah,
with all
I've
that.
done the hot yoga. Man, I'm a sweater. That shit was hard.
I don't do hot yoga.
Yeah.
The yoga I used to do was the what was Beast Body? What
Mhm.
was the guy who did it who got
P90X and all that stuff.
that's the only yoga I used to do.
Tony
Tony
Horton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which that's a whole interesting thing. This is kind of the
We
ADD.
don't have much time to go on with that.
No, it's fine. They're a perfect example of you have to have more than one stream of income. So for people who don't know, January 1st of this year, Beachbody no longer paid out commissions or royalties to the people that they used to be. For people who don't know, they were an MLM. So if you bought Beachbody courses, things like that, well, they were an MLM, which is multi-level marketing company. And people made residuals off people who signed up through them. Well, I know 3 people who come January 1st, that income that they depended on was gone. Now, they got notified in like earlier last year that it was going away, but that's another reason to have multiple sources of income, because January 1st, that money that they had been living off of for so many years was just gone like that because of a corporate decision.
Well, so I'm sure it's more than that. I'm sure people aren't watching as much and doing as much at home. More people are back to the gym again.
Right.
It's because they want to have that community and they want to have that conversation with people. That's what I'm talking about. Have those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
That's 15-year-old kid. Go have that conversation. Yeah. And if you overshare, then stop listening. Listen more.
Right.
Talk less.
Using that example, but on the inverse, when the pandemic came, all the places that were in person, no more money coming in. That's why it's important to have more than one source of revenue coming in. So like I joined Crunch Gym a few months ago, and they have, if you buy the top tier, which is like $40 a month here in Dallas, you get access to, you can go to any gym that's here local. You can pay more if you go to the high-end ones like New York or whatever, but you can also work out at home. So they'll keep you on both ways. So if you can't make it to the gym, well, you can watch a workout and try and do it at home. That's smart, because if it was either or, then they're susceptible. So to your point, like Beachbody, well, if people want to get back in and go to gyms, Beachbody was losing money. During the pandemic, when gyms had to shut down, they lost all their revenue. Because people canceled memberships for things they couldn't go to, which makes perfect sense.
And they couldn't just say, well, we're stuck. You're coming back. We're going to keep, they couldn't, they had to let it go.
Exactly. Because it was active nature or whatever, active God type thing. So yeah. So back to our main point is you just have to have more than one stream of income coming in. And to go back to all the questions, because this is my fault for going off the rabbit trail, you have to have people skills. Mm-hmm. That is the number one thing everyone needs to be improving on in 2025. I don't care what you do, if it's learning to read micro expressions, how to win friends and influence people. If you're not doing something to figure out how to get off your phone and get face to face with people, it's not going to go good for you in the next few years.
I totally agree. And I'm sorry, you keep not telling them about your book. When can they get?
Well, I'm working on yes, my book's in the works. It's sitting with my mentor.
In the works forever. I need a date.
It's out being edited by my mentor and some other people.
When are you going to release it, Brian?
That's what I got to figure out. So I'm waiting on feedback.
May
3 months.
May
I should have screwed up. Well, I'll tell you where I screwed up is I should have been more vigilant on getting it done in December and January, so that when I go to Secret Knock next month, I could have had it. So that's on me.
Still can have it. Get it out.
Yes.
Get it out. You can always make changes to it. I just heard you say that.
Right.
It's okay. Your baby's not going to be the most beautiful thing the first time it's out. It's going to get better.
Agreed. Oh, that's a nice thing. You don't have to buy that many versions of it. What it comes down to for me right now is the cost of getting it published the first time, and then having to come back and do a second cost. But yes, I'm making up excuses. So
yes, you're totally making up excuses, because we're going to talk in 1 second after we hang up here.
Yep.
All right, take us out. We'll be back on Thursday. Who's our guest on Thursday?
So we have somebody who's going to come in and teach us about webinars and master classes. So yes, Michelle will be here with us on Thursday. She's going to come in and talk about what she's learned on how to improve your business, increase your sales, and everything else by basically going in, creating mastermind or master classes, webinars, things of that nature. So she'll be with us as our joker on Thursday. So with that being said, thank you for joining us here today on Aces53. I really enjoyed actually the questions that came in today. Yes, it took us off track, but we want to know what you need help with, not just what we want to talk about. So Ed and I are here on Tuesdays, just Ed and I at noon Central, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 a.m. Eastern for those who are out there. And then on Thursdays, we have a guest we call a Joker, which is someone with a special skill or talent that they can bring and educate you as well as us at the same time. So thank you for supporting us today. The best way you can help us is to like and share with other people, and we'll see y'all next week. Thanks, Ed.
Thank you. All right, bye.
Bye.